Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bougie Girl Cyber Happy Hour, Her Story. I'm your host today, Alaina Stevens, and I'm back for a moment. You miss me? Today, we have a very special Her Story. The creator herself, Maronda Chenault. Let me go ahead and give you a little bit of her bio, just give you an intro. And she just wanted to come on here at the beginning of the year, the top of the year, January 1st, 2021, just to give you guys her story and to be as transparent as she can be today, just to, help you guys, especially whoever's going through what she's been through, to know that there is more to your story. So Maronda Allen Chenault is God's girl, a counselor, author, mother. She was born in Washington, D.C., and is the oldest daughter of two girls to Melvin and Bobby Newborn. Maronda moved to California at 21, where she started a family and earned two college degrees. Maronda graduated from California State University, San Bernardino, with a master's degree in educational counseling. She has been a counselor for over 15 years, where she has served students from elementary to high school, along with supporting youth in rehabilitation detention programs in California and Nevada. After her divorce in 2011, she moved to Las Vegas as a respite and that's right, as a respite and to complete her healing. Maronda has worked in various areas of ministry, including teaching divorce care, boundaries, and started a prayer ministry called WEEP, Women Establishing Earnest Prayer. She has earned her AA in Biblical Studies, a lay counselor certification, and currently completing her mental health first aid coaching credential. Maronda has taken her pain and turned it into purpose as she began to use her story to create a platform to inspire, uplift, and support those who have experienced heartbreak, loss, and trauma. Creator of Bougie Girl Cyber Happy Hour is where she hosts her story and a night of encouragement. She empowers women to discover their God given purpose after heartache in order to live purposeful lives. Her brand, I'm Bougie, which is which which was birthed out of her own broken place, offers webinars, journals, candles, and apparel. Amongst her accomplishments, she is most proud of being a mother of a beautiful and talented adult daughter, Courtney, and a handsome and gaming teen son, Quentin, and a handsome and driven adult son, Markel. She currently lives in Texas. So, guys, let's go ahead and welcome Miranda to the show.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Alaina, for being with me on tonight. Welcome back, little Bougie. How you doing, girl?
Girl, good, blessed, can't complain.
Good. Happy New Year, everyone. Super grateful, super thankful to be with you all on tonight. Her story. I felt like, it being 2021, we're starting off the new year. 2020 was a tumultuous and interesting year for all of us. But you know what? I figured, let's start. We weren't going to go on live today, but I figured, let's go on live and encourage the women and the men, all of the Bougie Squad that watches us, follows us. We are super grateful for you guys' support on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. Thank you all so much for joining us on tonight as I share my story. I'm sharing my story on tonight. I felt like it was important for us to go into the new year, me setting, I guess, an example, just showing you all what her story is about and why it started. So super excited to be here. So let me be quiet.
I wasn't gonna say nothing. I was just gonna let you talk, girl.
So if y'all have questions or comments or whatever, just put them in the chat. We would love to hear from you all. So if you have a comment or question, good evening, everyone. Tiffany and Melanie and Joyce and all those who are on with us tonight. Thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate everybody. So if you have questions or comments, please don't hesitate.
Ask all the questions that you guys need. We're going to put them up on the screen and we're going to start. So let me be my hard hitting journalist self. I'm just kidding. Get down to the nitty-gritty and get down to Maronda's story. So talk about before you got married and when you decided to what brought you to California, move from your parents to California. Let's start there.
Okay, awesome. Well, born in Washington, D.C. My parents moved around when I was younger. My dad was not in the military at the time, but we just moved. We lived in Houston, Texas for some years. I was lived in Houston, Texas until actually I got to high school. When I got to 10th grade, we moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico. And before we moved, I ran away because I did not want to go. I was like, I'm not going, just was being Maronda's self of being a rebellious. I was an overall good student, took honors classes, was just overall a good student, but didn't want to leave Houston. I was like, why are we going to this place? So anyway, ended up didn't stay gone long because I was scared out there. And so, so we moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Graduated from high school, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Albuquerque Bulldogs. Graduated, and so what happened was I ended up going to college in Texas Southern. I went back to Houston because I wanted to be in Houston so bad. Went back to Houston. Got pregnant in my first year of college, my freshman year. And so ended up, wanted to keep my child, my oldest son, Markel, my blessing. He's my ride or die. He loves his mother anyway. And so I was dating a drug dealer, this guy at the time. And he was like, he was from California. And he was like, well, do you want to move to California with me? And I was like, okay. I always heard these glamorous things about California, right? Like, oh, Cali, trees, beaches, all these things. So moved to California. And with my youngest child, the guy that I ended up moving with, we ended up breaking up. And I just stayed. I was like, I like it here. And I ended up going, continuing my education. I was in school at the time and met my husband and, got married at 24 years old. We were married for 13 years. We were married for a long time. We had two other children, additional children, Quentin and Courtney. My two other blessings. And so that's what took me to California. I ended up, was with this guy I was dating at the time. And he was like, do you want to come to California? And I was like, sure. And so, me being the young girl I was, 21 years old at the time, and just was like, didn't want to stay where I was because I ended up moving back to New Mexico after I had my son. So, got pregnant in college, had my son in New Mexico. He was born in New Mexico. And then when the guy I was dating was like, let's move, I was like, yes, I want to get out of here. So I ended up moving to California, and that's where it all
So
began.
once you got to California, how long were you with the guy, the drug dealer, as you say? No judgments, but go ahead.
Look, I'm telling my story. If you judge me, that's on you. I don't really.
It's out of my
Look,
mind. I'm just saying, you braver than me. Okay. I was
look.
scared
I
to
mean,
people smoke in my car.
I was a rebel. We were in, just was doing all kind of stuff, just hanging around with certain people, and I was just like, whatever. So I was with the drug dealer for probably about 2 or 3 years, and it was a rocky relationship. Like I said, I was young. He was an alcoholic. He was a cheater. Cheated on me. And we were living in his parents' property at the time. And he was just, he wasn't physically abusive, but he was an alcoholic. I knew that when I moved to California, but I just wanted to move to California. I wanted to get away where I was.
Right.
And his mother treated my son so well, treated him like he was her own. And my son was very well taken care of. I was taken care of. We had lived in a nice area in LA, and was with him for a couple of years. And when we broke up, I ended up staying in California. Like I said, I moved to Inglewood with my son.
Okay.
Um,
So when you
and
broke up with him at that moment, you're a single mom, you're in California. I'm assuming at this point you had a job or a career, or no?
no,
So
ma'am,
tell me about that part of your life before you met your husband and being a single mom in California. You're away from your family because your family is in New Mexico
yeah,
at the time. So how was
yeah.
that going? That experience?
It was. challenging for me. I was on welfare. It's just like I said, it was just me and my son. I was trying to finish my education. I was always determined to get my education. I was like, as a Black woman, I always knew at the time I wanted to have my education. I was like, I have to have my education. And so I continued my education. I was going to, I started off at a junior college at first. And then I pursued my education at California State Dominguez Hills in Carson, California. And like I said, I found a daycare for my son.
Mhm.
I did what I had to do. I had a part-time job. And I actually, the part-time job that I had, that's where I met my husband.
Okay.
And, was probably in my junior year of college, about to graduate my bachelor's. And, that's where it all, kind of began. I got married at 24 years old.
Okay. So at that
Um,
point, don't skip ahead.
all right.
So at the point, you're doing your thing. You're adulting. You got your help with your child at daycare. You're going to college. You have a part-time job. That's where you meet your husband. Um, where was your mindset at that point? Were you looking to get into a relationship, or is it just something that naturally progressed? Did you feel like you were ready at the moment to be in a relationship because you was a single mom and still in school?
Alaina, that's a good question. Hey, Rochelle, thank you so much for joining. At that time, Alaina, I was always used to being in a relationship. I had been in relationships throughout my young adult life. So it wasn't foreign to me, or it wasn't a big deal. I don't think I understood relationships or, being in love. I don't think I've had ever been in love prior to that. I had dated guys who could do things for me. Like, you can buy me this, you can take care of this, you can do this. I don't think I ever really loved them. I think I was the type of person who wanted to, I wanted to be with someone. I wanted to be loved. I wanted to be accepted.
You like
Because I
the
had
idea
dealt with,
of being in a relationship.
right. I like the idea of being in a relationship. I wanted to be in love. I wanted to be loved, but I don't think I ever loved those men that I was with. It was just a situation where, if you can help me, you can take care of me, you can help supplement my income, because I've always had guys that did that in my life. So that's all I knew. My dad took good care of me and my
Mhm,
mother and my sister. So I always had men in my life that provided. So I was
mhm.
looking for that provider. Um, and so that's what it was. I wasn't really thinking about it.
Okay. So how long was it you at this job, you meet your future husband? Did he pursue you? How long did it take you to actually start dating? And how long did y'all date before you decide to, well, until he popped the question, I'm assuming.
So, I'm 24 years old. I'm thinking he's 24 years old as well. Ended up, he was 21 years old. No, he was actually 20 years old, but he was very mature. Had a great
Little
job, his
cougar.
own apartment. Huh?
See you, little cougar.
Girl, right. Didn't realize he was 20 at the time. I'm 24, but he was mature. He was handling his business, had a great job, had his own place, and we were in lust. I'm going to say that because, we, we instantly connected chemistry wise. He was
Mhm.
tall, I'm tall. He was like 6'4", handsome, young, looking good, dressed. I kind of helped him on the dressing department. I had to help him out, and give him a little fashion sense. But I liked him.
Mhm.
We instantly meshed. Our first kiss was like magnetic. Like, so
It
anyway,
was
we
different
got
than what
married.
you had previously experienced, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, he had the little edge about him, previous gang member from the
You
Midwest.
really like them bad
Um,
boys, huh?
Girl, I mean, look, I'm trying to tell the people. I mean, but that's just what it was, y'all. This is her story. I'm telling
Look,
y'all the
be
story. Look,
transparent, girl. Mhm.
I'm telling you the story.
Like a little edge to them, the little.
Look, little son, because I don't like no squares. You gotta have it together. You had a little spice to you. But he was, like I said, he had turned his life around, hardworking, and stuff like that. He had a child. I had a child. And so we came together, young people. 6 months later, he asked me to marry him. No, okay, let me tell you what happened.
I'm like,
My
that's
mom
yeah,
found
okay.
out,
But I look,
my
I've
mom,
met people that met and 6 months moved in and then married, so it happens. I understand.
right. But we were living together, and I come from a Christian background. And my mom was like, "Oh, you shacking up, you going to hell? Da, da, da. Why you living? Why you ain't saying nothing to my little sister, right? But you telling me this, right?" I'm like, "Why you gonna?" Okay, so I told him, I said, "Well, my mom doesn't think we need to be living together. I think we need to break up. My mom is not happy with this. We're not married. Blah blah blah. Well, let's get married." Okay.
Wait, that was the engagement?
Look, that's it. Look. He didn't want. I guess he didn't want to lose me, y'all. He
Yeah,
didn't. He didn't want to lose me. So anyway, and I didn't want to lose him.
yeah,
I mean, he said he wanted to marry me, and again, not seeing healthy relationships, but wanting love,
yeah.
wanting to be accepted, wanting to be loved, and he wanted to marry me. And he was nice looking, hardworking. So
Yeah.
anyway, we got,
You said not seeing healthy relationships, but you haven't been in like a healthy relationship, but were your mom and dad a healthy relationship or something that you experienced before, or they wasn't, so you really didn't know?
I really didn't know. To be honest with you, I didn't know. I saw abuse from my mom and dad. I saw my mother being weak in my eyes. I love my mother to death. She's amazing. She
Mhm.
introduced me to Christ. I love her. But to be honest with you, I didn't want to be like my mother. To be honest with you, I felt like she was weak. I felt like she allowed my dad to treat her a certain type of way that I swore that I wouldn't let a man treat me that way. And
Did you find
you
yourself
know,
in positions where a man was treating you like that, and how did that make you feel weak at any point?
Yes, of course. Yeah, because I was like, I'm not going to let you treat me like that. How dare you? I wanted to be loved and I didn't want anyone to mistreat me, but I was mistreated. I was, rejected. I was, but my ex-husband reminded me of my dad, a tall, handsome man that provided. Like I said, he didn't have a problem with providing for me and our children. So I gravitated to him as a provider. I always made sure he knew that I appreciated him being a good provider for me and my children. And even though we had some rocky moments where he did some things, even early on in the marriage, and I tolerated those things because I wanted to be loved and accepted. My self esteem at that point was kind of, wasn't where it needed to be, even though people on the outside, oh, you're pretty, you're this, you're that. But I was broken on the inside. I was this little girl looking for love in all the wrong places. And yeah,
So
so
at this moment, you're 24, right?
yeah.
You get married. Did y'all go to the
Mhm.
courthouse? Was it a big thing, or it was just something real quick?
We went to this little marriage chapel in Inglewood, California. My sister was a witness.
Okay.
She was there at the time in California, and his homeboy, one of his homeboys, was a witness. So it was just the four of us, and we were just hood fabulous, right? Because we went to Red Lobster afterward for dinner. It was just like hood ghetto, like. And I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, I would never do that, but I'm looking at it now. We were young and in love. We went to Red Lobster afterward. I took my wedding dress.
That
I
was
kept
fancy
the
at
tags
that
on it.
time, huh? Red Lobster was that was
That
top
was the
tier at that
business
time.
back in the 90s. It was 97, right? And so I had to left the tag on my wedding dress and took it back to the store. I was just ghetto, like, it was just like, okay, this is what it is. But we just had we loved each other. We were hood fabulous. We were ghetto a little bit. We were just hood fabulous. And
Yeah.
we loved it, I loved him because
Mhm.
he was there for me. I don't know if I was in love with him, but I loved him. So
Yeah. And he had some of the qualities that you knew you were looking for a provider. He reminded you of your father, which I feel like that was maybe more like a security thing. Like you felt
yeah,
secure because that's the energy you were used to as a
right.
child.
Right.
So up until you got married, 24, I was
Mhm.
24 and a half, 6 months later. How long was it before you guys had your daughter after you were
So we
pregnant?
got married in 97. Courtney was born in 99. I had a miscarriage prior to her being born. So again, just going through life, didn't have any family there. So didn't really know how to deal with certain situations that I would experience. So like I said,
Mhm.
we lost one child. We never talked about it because it was very early in the pregnancy. It was probably like a month, and I just really kept moving. I don't know if that, to be honest, I can't say if that impacted me or not. Courtney was born in 99. I was walking across the stage getting my bachelor's degree with a pregnant belly.
That's your first?
Um,
Was that your first or your second
my first what?
degree? degree?
My first degree, my bachelor's degree in business, actually operational production and operations management. Never used that degree. I thought it was a fabulous degree. I was planning on using it, but it was in operations and production management. I
I mean, you're
had my
kind of
bachelor's
using it
degree.
now, so full circle.
Okay, girl, you better tell the truth.
You know, you know.
Right. So, I mean, um, you know, walking across the stage of my pregnant belly with Courtney, my little queen. So just graduated from college, got some, job. Like I said, my ex-husband at the time was working. We're in Inglewood, California.
Mhm.
And then we decided to buy our first house, and we moved closer, like out and about somewhere, like in the Inland Empire, if anyone's familiar with California, Inland Empire area. So we moved to the San Bernardino area, bought our first home, and we had a pool. We was doing it. We were young.
Mhm.
We was doing it. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean,
At this point,
we were
everything was
just.
in bliss. You guys, had I don't know how the marriage is up to this point. I'm pretty sure y'all had your challenges. How was the relationship at this point? Like how were you guys doing at this point? After
We
Courtney was
had.
born, you got your house, you got your first degree.
After Courtney was born, we had some issues because, we had a little issue. Um, I had Courtney, so I was a little chunky at the time. I was a little, voluptuous, you know what I'm saying? And so, but I was dealing, have always dealt with low self-esteem, low self-worth.
Yeah.
So we had a party at our house for my daughter. I think she was turning 2, and he was flirting with another woman in our backyard. And I confronted him about it. And now that I look back on it, it was narcissistic behavior. He or gaslighting me, making me feel like, oh, you're crazy. I wouldn't do that. Da 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 da. But come to find out, she admitted to another lady that was at the party that she was intentionally flirting with my husband.
Mm,
So I acted a fool. Well, I don't know if you call it. I didn't call it acting a fool. I confronted her in our driveway
okay.
and pretty much kind of gave her the business and said, if you don't leave my property, I'm gonna kick you all down the street off of my property. So in front of everybody, all of our guests. So that was,
I don't know.
that was the
Black
Maronda then.
moments in the movie.
Right. I mean, it was just, he had
All
took me to
over.
that place,
Right. Was
made me feel
this the first
even.
evidence of that, or is it the first time you started noticing that behavior?
That was the first time I really noticed that behavior. He had did some things to me prior to that, like staying out till 4 in the morning. And then, say, oh, I'm with my cousins, I'm with my family. And I didn't have no family there. It was just me and my kids. So
Right.
that was pretty much my family. So, his cousin lived um, next door to us. She became a confidant, a friend. She's on here now, Rochelle. She became a confidant, a friend to me during those times. Someone I could confide in and tell her, what's going on. Even though that was her cousin, she still allowed me to vent about what I experienced.
Yeah.
Um,
At that point, the trust kind of already been broken because you confronted, that he was cheating. Was it harder to trust him when he went out? And did that cause, you know, future arguments or future things? And how did that affect you internally?
like I said, him flirting with this woman, like I said, it was hurtful. But we kind of worked it out, after I showed that Ronnie side. Rochelle just mentioned it. She was like, Ronnie, that's what my family calls me as Ronnie. So that Ronnie side, that that other side of me came out. Um, it was hard for me to trust him. We had some rough moments. We had experienced some things that caused me not to trust him, caused me to become bitter towards him. Um, you know, we had some moments where I don't think it was any more cheating, but it was just mannerisms. But we continued to stay in the marriage. What actually kind of pretty much saved us was God. My beautician at the time, she might be on here. Her name is Lynn. She used to live here in Texas.
Mhm.
Um, she invited me to church. We
Okay.
were 7 years in. That 7 year itch they call it or whatever. And I was like, she was like, Maronda, you guys need to come to church. And so he grew up Muslim.
Okay.
that Muslim background, and I was always that Christian background.
Was
And
this your first time joining church together as a married couple or as a family?
I'm sorry.
Was this your first time joining a church as a family, married couple, or did you join before he joined?
We had went to church prior to that actually, but we stopped going. We actually had started going to church. Let's see, probably some years before that because actually he had gotten baptized in church the day before my dad passed,
Oh wow.
and it was just kind of like, oh, I know you're going to take care of my daughter type of thing because we had called my dad and was like, oh, Dan and Mark Hill got baptized. You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh, this situation where him telling my dad, like, I am going to take care of your daughter. So he really looked up to my dad.
Hmm.
Um, my dad's been dead for 20 years, but as you can tell, it's kind of still
So, yeah,
bothers me. But, just knowing that, he was like, oh, I'm going to church for you and, for us or whatever. And so,
that was kind of like a pass way. Like now, my
right.
husband is baptized, and I know that probably was a hard time.
Yeah, it was. My dad passed away. It was like really hard for all of us because my ex-husband really valued my
Mhm.
dad. Like they had a relationship because he never really had a relationship with his own dad. So the relationship that he had with my dad, it was like, wow, I got a dad in my life or whatever. And so it was just really like, I was grateful for that because I was like, well, him and my dad are cool. And then my dad ended up passing away of cancer. So
Okay, take your time, breathe a little bit. It's okay. So after he got baptized, your dad passed. Did After your dad passing, did that help you get a little bit closer, able to talk more about some things?
yeah, I did. Like I said, he had gotten baptized. We were going to church. And like I said, we still had our moments. And, after that, Happy New Year, everyone who's watching. Thank you guys so much for watching this Her Story episode, me telling my story. So you're probably like, what is wrong with her? Like, why is she emotional? I'm telling my story, you guys. So if you missed any of it, go back and watch the replay. But
Yes.
anyway,
Play game.
so, what was your question? I'm sorry.
How was after your dad passed? Like, how was the relationship? Did that kind of bring y'all closer together? Did I'm pretty sure you guys comforted each other.
Oh,
Um,
yeah,
was that around the
girl.
time your next baby came around?
No, ma'am. Because my kids are four or
Yeah,
5 years
therefore,
apart. They're
yeah.
like very spread out. Courtney was actually 1 year old when my dad passed, so she never got a
Okay.
chance to really meet him. And
Okay.
my youngest son never got a chance to meet him either. So that was unfortunate because he would have been a great man to be around. I love, my dad and I had a rough relationship, but I love my dad. We were similar. We look alike. And I have that, when men act a certain type of way, like, oh, he's a strong man. But when women act that way, we the B word.
Yeah.
So I was the B word sometimes because I was kind of like my dad, like I would say certain things and not really think about it. And
Hmm.
I'm thinking, well, men can do it too. Men do that and y'all don't say nothing to them. So anyway, I was like that in my marriage as well. So that kind of caused some issues. So like I said, throughout the years, even though I suffer from low self-esteem, I lashed out and said certain things like I would, especially after he did certain things, like after the incident at the house, we ended up, mending things because we started going to church and different things like that. But and we ended up buying another house. We ended up, I ended up going back to school to get my master's degree. So we said we're going to work it out. We go through our ups and downs, but we're going to work this out, right?
Yeah.
So we ended up having Quentin, my little king. We ended up having him right before we moved to our new home, our second house. So we were just a young couple kind of doing our thing.
Thriving. I mean,
We were thriving. We were building. We had 4 kids at this time,
right.
our 2 children from our previous relationships and then our 2 children together. We looked like the perfect couple on the outside. Everybody looked at us like, oh my gosh, Maronda and Dan. Y'all, So they was like looking at us at this perfect couple, but they didn't know when we were going home from church. We didn't talk to each other. Um, we cussed each other out on the way or before we left to go to church. Sometimes I wouldn't go to church because I didn't want to see his face. He was in the praise team ministry. He can sing, and it
Mhm.
was just a heart. We just was. It was up and down, up and down, up and down. So many things had happened, and I think I had become bitter and hard, and it was just and I
So
think he just
in those moments when y'all was, it was hard, y'all was fussing, looking back at it, do you think it was something that you probably could have worked on that would have, you know what I mean? Because we all have to take our
yeah,
part in
count
things,
sure.
right? So what could you have done in those moments where you guys were arguing to church and not talking to each other? What do you feel like you could have done differently in those moments for somebody who
Um,
might be in that situation now and really wants to save their marriage, but scared to look at themselves and see, maybe it's me. Not saying it was
yeah,
you, but I'm just saying maybe it's me.
right, sure. I mean, just doing self-reflection. Just really, when you see that toxic behavior going on, just really work on yourself. Stop focusing so much on that other person. I think during my marriage, he was like a little G to me, a little God. I worshiped him.
Mhm,
I I wanted to be an excellent wife. I wanted to be the perfect woman for him. I cooked, I cleaned, I had children, I accommodated, I tolerated. I did a lot of things that I thought was the right thing to do. And I
mhm,
was broken and bitter still doing these things, but I was hurting and hurting my children, hurting him. So I would recommend women or any a man who's going through this to just stop and just when you see these toxic patterns, to stop and say, wait a minute, let me work on me for a minute. Let me get some counseling. Even though I was a counselor, I was didn't get
yeah.
counseling. I was
And
probably
most
still
counselors
hurting.
do go to counseling as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I was still hurting from my dad passing,
Mhm,
not having family in California, just being by myself. I felt alone.
mhm,
And I kind of started lashing out and I started, that's why it's so important. And I want to tell this to the audience if I can't say anything else. Your words are powerful.
mhm,
I would say, oh, he's probably out there cheating on me. And I
mm,
would say, I want a divorce when I really didn't want one, but I was
mhm,
hurting. And I would say these things lashing out of my pain, but I really didn't want it. And then when it actually happened, I felt like I spoke my own demise. I spoke
mhm,
my own heartache. So I would highly recommend those people that are hurting to be mindful of what you say. Watch
mhm.
your mouth. Watch the words that come out of your mouth because they're powerful.
Right. Now,
Yeah,
do you believe, because I'm in a young marriage, but do you believe that really not focusing on making that person happy, but making yourself happy really helps a relationship and make
of
sure that
course.
making themselves happy, and then we'll just be happy together because we're doing what we want to do, but as a couple.
Right. I honestly really believe that you have to be happy. You have
Mhm,
to be happy in a marriage. You can't expect that other person to make you happy. And that's, to be honest, Alaina, that's the era or the generation that I came from.
mhm.
Nobody, I didn't know any better. Oh, he's supposed to make me happy. I remember I was
You just
Stacy.
be a homemaker and cook and clean
Yeah,
and make sure that dinner is on the
exactly.
table when your husband get home.
Yeah, and I did that, and I thought that was enough. But I wasn't happy. I was cooking, I was working, I was getting my education, I had children. Even though I was blessed that every time I had a child, I was able to be on work for at least a year to nurse them, to be with them. But I
Mhm,
would be, and I remember we would sit around at the table, and I would be like, I want my husband to take care of me like old school, right?
mhm,
Not really realizing that, I was putting a lot of pressure on him,
mhm,
the expectation that I had when I wasn't happy. I wanted him to make me happy. He
mhm,
needed to ensure that Maronda was happy, right? I had material possessions. I was driving a luxury car. We had a brand new house built from the ground up. I wore designer clothes. I, but I was not happy, Alaina. I was miserable. I was hurting.
yeah,
Um, and just was bad with money. I thought, spending money would um, soothe the pain.
mhm,
And it did not. I was still in pain.
yeah. So
And
did you ever address your father's passing? Did you ever address some of those things and release some of those things? And do you feel like that contributed to your unhappiness during that time?
I didn't really realize what was making me unhappy until after I got out of the marriage.
Mhm.
I didn't really see it, hindsight is 2020. I never noticed any of this until, because like I said, nobody said nothing to me. I was, people looked at me and thought I was okay, but nobody said anything to me.
Yeah.
Nobody ever checked on me. Miranda, are you okay? How are you doing? Do you need some counseling? Are you okay? I was carrying this load on my shoulders. That's why I'm such an advocate today for mental health and
Yeah.
counseling, because I needed it so bad and I didn't have that. And I was tearing down, like they said, that woman that tears down her house with her hands or whatever, that
Mhm.
that nagging wife, right? That was me. I can actually say that today and not be ashamed of it, because that was my past and I didn't have any tools
Yeah.
that I needed. So I highly recommend marriage counseling. I highly recommend therapy. I highly recommend a support group of women that love you and that will help you connect with godly couples that are, happily married couples that can help you along your journey when you're going through the ups and downs. You have someone to be there for you to walk you through.
Mhm.
Um, but I didn't have that, to be honest, even though we were in church.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't have
Feel
any
like
of that
just because of the
support.
times, because I know, going back even what 10 years, people stay quiet about what they go through, and you're supposed to
Yeah,
smile and push through it, but a lot of people are
yeah,
hurting, um, and scared to like tell people your business. It's not really your business,
yeah,
but and you think you're alone. You think you're going through it by yourself. Nobody else is
yeah,
going through what or ever been through what you've been through. So you
right.
think if it was in these times, say you were 10 years younger, and
Mhm.
in these times where well, it's okay to open up and talk about it, do you think that would have changed things for you?
Of course. I honestly believe that. I believe, but I think it would have changed that about me, but I don't know if it would have changed that about him.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because like I said, our marriage dissolved because he had an affair.
Okay.
He had somebody else on the side. So I can only speak for myself.
Yeah.
I know it would have changed me because I have the tools now that I need to be able to speak life and to understand the detriment of divorce and the impact that it has on families. So I would have been mindful of the things that I said, and
Mhm.
I would have sought outside help, because a lot of times, Alaina, I put the pressure on him. Like,
Mhm.
instead of going to someone else, I went to him. Instead of going to God, I went to him.
Mhm.
You know how they you say, take it to God in prayer.
Mhm.
Don't nag your husband about it, but take your issues with your husband to God. Like, Lord, this is what's going on in my marriage. Please help me. Even though I am a Christian, I was a Christian at the time. I think I put that burden on him. Understanding that a lot of the things that he did as far as Christian, being a Christian or being in church, he did it for me. I don't know if he really had that relationship. I think he did it to please me,
Yeah.
because he knows that's I wanted to be in church. I wanted to be have my family in church. I wanted my children in church, and so he went along with the plan, even though I think he was unhappy as well. He didn't want to really go along with that plan. So, like I said, I know, if I knew what I know now, yes,
Mhm.
I would have done things a lot differently. I think I would have fought a little harder for my marriage, because I pretty much kind of like was like whatever. I signed the papers. I didn't really fight.
Yeah,
Um,
'cause at that
I
point,
think
he had cheated on you. You already mentioned that he was somewhat of a narcissist, so he knew how to
right.
get in your mind and keep you, at bay, I guess.
Yeah, and then, he had moved into a house with this woman in the same town we lived in. We lived in a small town in California, and he moved into a house with this woman, and friends of ours from church saw them together, and
Mm,
I mean, I was ashamed, I was embarrassed, I was hurt, but honestly, I still loved him. I still wanted to try to work it out,
mm,
because we had children. I
yeah,
felt like, we all go through our ups and downs, but I was still willing to work it out, but he wasn't. And
yeah.
yeah,
At the point where you were ready to let it go, I'm sure it took a long time to heal. He's living with this other woman, cheated on you. You still want a marriage, so you're still willing to forgive him,
right.
and he didn't want to work it out. How did that make you feel as a woman at that time?
I felt inadequate. Again, it just put another dagger in my heart, like, that kind of shaved off another level of my self esteem.
Mhm.
Um, it took me, honestly, after the divorce, almost 6 years to heal because I was still kind of blaming myself.
Mhm.
I wasn't really forgiving. I was holding on to bitterness, and I was actually still allowing him into my life because we had younger children. You know, my youngest son at the time was 4 years old, five
Okay.
years old, and I was allowing him in my home. I was allowing him to kiss me. I was allowing him to hug on me. I was allowing him to emotionally manipulate me and just kind of keep me on his string like a puppet. It didn't, and things didn't get better for me until I actually moved to Las Vegas. I had been divorced for 2 years, had lost everything, my brand new home, my car, my job. I was laid off my job in 2009. I was a counselor making really good money, laid off. 6 months later, found out he had an affair. He
Mm.
left. So all of this happened. It was like a snowball. Then
Yeah.
I lost my home. I lost my car. I was homeless. So I lost pretty much everything, that I thought made me who I was, right? I lost the status, the material possessions, the marriage, the title, the misses. I lost friends, connections. People didn't want to deal with me. I was like the woman with the scarlet letter, right?
Hmm.
I felt that way. Nobody really was there for me. I didn't feel like, I had one good friend. Her name is Christy Mays. I always call her out. She was always there. She was like, we prayed on the phone at 5 in the morning for years. She was my prayer partner, my homie, my sister from another mother. I love her. Was just a friend to me. Even she knew me when I was married. I remember I had a Bible study called The Excellent Wife because I wanted every woman to be an excellent wife. I wanted everybody to be excellent, right? Because Miranda's an excellent wife, and I wanted everybody to be an excellent wife. So, and I was mad at God. I was like, Lord, how could you do this to me when everybody else's marriage is still intact? And I'm teaching these classes, I'm doing all of this, and my marriage falls apart in front of everybody that I was helping. And so it was a rough time for me. And
Right. So in that moment when everything is spiraling down, everything is taken from you that you thought God had gave you, at one point did you feel like, it was God plan to have you look to him instead of to all these other things? At what point in your life did you just let it go and give it to God?
it took probably about a year
Mhm.
after the anger has subsided. Because actually, I had started teaching divorce care. I started going to another church. I
In Vegas.
started.
Or you were still in Texas? I mean, you're still
I
in.
was still in California. I stayed in California probably a couple of years after the divorce.
uh,
We had separated. The divorce was being finalized, and so I started pursuing my AA and biblical studies, and to keep
mhm.
myself busy
Yeah.
because I was so
How old were you at this point?
I was 37. I was almost 40. I was mad at God, like, God, like I gotta start over. I'm old. Nobody want me. I got all these kids. I got my kids. I got stretch marks. Don't nobody want me, Lord. I gotta start over, really. And so I started going to school because to get my mind off of things. I had met this amazing lady in Marshall shopping, right? And she was like, "Come to my church," and blah 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 blah. So I started going to her church, and I started taking biblical studies classes. So I got my AA in biblical studies. I also started teaching divorce care. I went through divorce care, a class that was taught at the church.
Mhm.
And Alaina, it was hard because the first night I went to the class, I couldn't speak, and when I finally spoke, the tears came down. I couldn't even talk because I was embarrassed. I was hurt. It was just still the emotions were still fresh.
It's
But
fresh.
God was using me in the midst of all of that. He
Mhm.
was He was pushing me in the midst of all of that hurt. He was pushing me, and I just kept going,
Yeah.
um, and not realizing how hurt I was until actually I moved to Las Vegas, and this lady was like, "Girl, what you so angry about?" Like, dang, I'm angry like that. And then I started to reevaluate because somebody acknowledged, somebody
Mhm.
called me on my stuff. Like, girl,
Yeah.
what you mad for? Like, I was mad because
Mhm.
I'm the one that has to get up and move. I lost all of my stuff. You didn't got married again. You moving on. I'm upset, right?
Right.
I'm upset. I'm not gonna lie, I was upset. And so I just really still honestly still upset for some years to be honest, like I said, it took some years for me to really heal from that. Um, and so here I am.
There you. So we already know that you ended up moving to Houston. How long has it been since you went from Vegas to Houston, and then I know you moved to Dallas the last year, right before the pandemic hit.
Yeah. So I stayed in Las Vegas for about 5 years. My daughter gave her an opportunity to graduate from high school.
Mhm.
She started UNLV that year, and then the next year, I moved to Houston. My son at the time, the little one, he was high. He has began his first year in high school, and his dad and I agreed that when he started high school, he would live with him.
Okay, so you
You
can
know,
have 4 years straight.
right? And then he's a young man. You're
Yeah,
right. Even though my our marriage didn't work out. Their dad is a great dad.
yeah,
He's a great provider still to them, to his children. He takes great care of them. And we felt like at the time my son needed to be with his dad for high school because I'm a coddler. I'm gonna baby you. You can sit in my lap. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna rock you. I'm gonna kiss on you. And he's a boy. And as a young black
yeah.
man, I felt like he needed to be his dad, and I agreed. So it wasn't a fight about it. Um,
Yeah,
so when my youngest one went with his dad, uh, I said, you know what? I need to live my best life. I'm
yeah,
getting older. I'm in my 40s, so I'm ready to move forward. So I moved to Houston in 2018. Thank God opened up a door for a job, and then I stayed there, met some great people in Houston. Joyce Houston, your mother's such
mhm,
a blessing to me. Have to call her out. Such a mighty woman of God, Sean Johnson. Those women, God allowed me to meet some extraordinary women of God who
mhm.
helped me through still going through some
Yeah.
changes. Then I moved to Dallas, Texas, DFW. 2020, the year of the pandemic, honey. Yes, I moved here. And thank you, Latanya Colquitt. She's on here for just being a blessing, helping me find a place. I have a great church here. My pastor, Pastor Dietrich D. Lewis, a great man of God. I have some great mentors, Brenda Jackson, great mentors and women of God that God has surrounded me with during this time that, still have gone through some ups and downs, even in relationships, Alaina, not married, still single, but, still finding myself connecting to the wrong people, people taking advantage of your kindness or your vulnerabilities.
I just
And
think that's being a Christian. People always clinch on to us because we have that light or goodness about us.
yeah,
Yeah,
so that's I'm here in Texas now,
yeah.
and I'm living my best life. I'm grateful for this opportunity
In
to
quarantine.
right. I mean, I was telling somebody today, would I have ever even started this if we weren't in quarantine? I don't think I would have. God knew that this platform needed to be formed with your help. In the beginning of the inception of this platform, you were there to help me. Little bougie over here, y'all. Alaina
It's only been
Stevens.
like 2 months since I haven't been helping. I said, I'll do that.
Well, you've been helping me. You helped me. Okay, y'all. She helped me when I started it. So no, she has not been helping me for the past 2 months, but she helped me in the beginning, and I want to publicly say thank you for helping me
No
in the
problem.
beginning of the inception of Bougie Girl Cyber Happy Hour. But this platform. Well, I'm gonna be quiet, so let you ask your questions. Go ahead.
So we're gonna do a run through everything. So you grew up in you were in Houston. You moved to Nevada. I mean to New Mexico. You
Hmm.
graduated from New Mexico. You went back to Houston where you got pregnant. Then you
Hmm.
moved after you had the baby. You moved back to New Mexico with your family, but at the time you were still
Hmm.
dating your boyfriend, um, the bad boy. I'm not gonna another bad boy.
Okay.
And then he convinced you to move to California. And at this time in your life, you just wanted, a man in your life, somebody who's gonna take care of you. He promised all these things, and I'm pretty sure for a little while he was doing that until 3 years later, he was a single mom, still doing your thing. You still was going to school. You found work and help with your son. Still kicking it, moving, pushing through. Where you met your husband, and how long were you guys married?
We're married for 13 years.
Okay. So in those 13 years, you had your ups and downs. You fought, you did the best you could, but you still had to learn lessons on how to be yourself and be a complete you. So, of course, that didn't work out in that moment, right?
Yeah, right.
Not saying you did anything wrong, but you
Oh, yeah.
still had some growth to do as a woman and where God want you to be. So he had to take you through some things. He had to take you through divorce. He had to take you, through a man who, as you say, is a narcissist or was. We don't know how his journey is right now.
Well,
uh,
if you don't mind, can I say something? I
yeah,
just want to share with the audience, I take accountability for the part I played in the
yeah.
divorce. Like I said, I spoke, the things that I said, the mean, I was mean sometimes because like I said, the hurt came out. And so, like I
And you
said,
had
I
a
take it,
shell. Most people
yeah,
who snap back are, and you didn't say it, but I'm pretty sure you went through some type of depression, because I know when I
yeah,
had depression, as soon as somebody said something to me, it was a wall, and you go snap back real quick. So
right.
you were
You
going,
don't realize it,
right, you
right?
don't
You're
realize what you're
depressed,
going through,
right?
and you had to realize that, and
Right.
you had to pretty much lose everything and able to build and grow into who you are today and who you continue to grow to be.
Amen. That's it. I mean, lost it all. God, like I said, started from the bottom. Now I'm here. God stripped everything. Like I said, I never experienced anything like what I experienced. I'd never been homeless. Like I said, like I told you in the beginning, my dad was a great provider for me and my family. We never lacked anything. I think we were kind of spoiled back then. And so every man that I connected with throughout my years, I was spoiled. I was treated that way, but then, like I said, when I got married, then the things that were suppressed within me started to bubble up,
Yeah,
and I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know what it was. Like you said, the depression, probably some anxiety, some, a lot of different things, the insecurity, the rejection, all those things, kind of like, childhood rejection, not a healthy relationship with my dad, wanting to be loved. All these things kind of bubbled over,
right. 'Cause
and
you weren't
so,
yet a complete person. You weren't
right,
complete yet. You still growing, even though, a lot of us, once we 18, oh, we grown, but we all know that it takes time and steps to build who we are, and then for God to get us to who he wants us to be, to live our purpose.
right. And you know what? And ladies, and gentlemen, you can be 40, 45, 37, 35. You know what? God will, he has not forgotten about you.
Yeah,
You're not too old for God to use you in a mighty way. I had to learn that because I'm like, Lord, I'm oh, I get oh Lord. And God's like, no, I still have, he will redeem the time.
yeah,
God will show up and show out on your behalf if you just trust him. And I had to get to a place where I trusted him. I had to forgive him. I had to forgive my ex-husband.
yeah,
I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive those that were involved, including family members. I had to let go of some people. And so I had to understand my worth and my value.
yeah,
And it honestly didn't really happen until a couple of years ago where I really started to, and then when people say, I didn't really start living until I got older, like in my 40s, I
yeah,
really started to come into my grown womanness actually after I turned 40. And I'm still growing. I'm still getting better. I still struggle with certain things, especially with the relationship department, because that's like I said, struggle is real.
yeah.
Can I get an
So
amen,
I was
ladies that's
thinking
watching
about
that are
that,
single?
going through everything and looking at the men that you used to choose, now knowing yourself and you becoming a complete woman. Not saying that you're not complete now, but becoming that woman, and you know
Yeah.
what your standards are, you know how you want to be treated, and the things that you did value as a relationship, then somebody providing for you instead of being a partner with you. I'm pretty sure when you find that person, it's going to be that relationship that you always wanted. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be the one
I
that you
believe
don't
that.
have to fight so much in. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate you saying that. I believe that God has the man for me that will value me and who I am. And I will value him and know how to, be the wife that, that excellent wife that I've always strived to be. I believe that God has that man for me. old school, you're a man, you're a provider.
You
But
know what?
also I have
He
something.
might be that square that you said earlier. You didn't want a square. He might be that square. You might need a square. Stop looking for a bad
I
boy.
mean, I'm not looking for a bad boy these days. Look, I'm too old for all of that. I don't have time for it. Don't bring that drama right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm over it, to be honest with you. It was cute when I was younger, but girl, right now it's like I want a man who loves the Lord. I
Mm-hmm.
want a man who loves me. I want a man who loves God more than he loves me. Because when I act up every now and then, he's gonna be like, Lord, let me pray for Maronda because she's cutting up right now, Lord. Instead of, so I want somebody who loves God and he loves me and he got a little swag, you know what I'm saying? Got a little flavor, can dress, you know what I'm saying? He
You
could
don't
feel like his
help somebody else become themselves. You gotta be
right. I don't have time. I don't.
you gotta
You
become
need to
so
already know. You already need to already know how to wear your Jordans and your Levi's and your button up. You need to already know how to do that. You could be fresh and fly in 40. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? But no, I might need somebody a little younger or later. I don't know. I don't know.
you like the babies, your little cougar. Just messing with you.
I mean, girl, you heard my feelings. I know what it is. Look.
Nothing
Um,
wrong with it, man. Nothing
I
wrong with it.
mean, look. No, but I know in God's timing, the man that He has for me is coming. He's going to find me.
I'm gonna just say what my mama say, don't shoot down your angels or somebody. Just because he might not look like you want him to look, don't just still be nice, Maronda, okay?
I mean, as long as he's uh, look, my only criteria, Jesus, please let him be at least 6 feet tall. Can we at least? Because I can do flats. I mean, I'm cool with wearing flats. If I have to wear flats,
Man. You better love him and pick him up and hug him, okay?
I'm not gonna mess with you like this. So I'm not even gonna.
You miss me.
God knows.
You too.
God knows the desires of my heart. I'm not fit to play with you, Elaine. I'm not even gonna do it with you, okay?
So, guys, this is Maronda, the creator of Bougie Girl Cyber Happy Hour. I'm still here in the background. I'm coming to getting my life together, so y'all gonna be seeing me. I'm pretty sure she's gonna pull me to host every once in a while, and I'm
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
agree. Um, but I
I
do
mean,
miss you guys.
I mean, it's just been a blessing. People are on my page commenting. Thank you so much, Melanie. I know what my sister-in-law, my ex, my big sis in Tennessee said the older is better. I
Mhm.
don't know. I mean, I've dated an older guy. He was like 10 years older than me. And he was still acting up. So I don't know where he at, girl? Because out here, I mean, I don't know. He didn't act right, Melanie.
Look,
Mel,
you're
he
in that
act right, girl.
5 year range, 5 years younger or 5 years older. Don't go past that. Stay in that little that 10 year range.
Look, he said 5 and 5. Look, you 5 and 5. No, but I wanted to bring up some stuff before we end it. But thank you all so much for joining this conversation. It's been a blessing to share my story with you all. Thank you all so much for commenting. Everybody that's on here commenting and saying things. I really super duper appreciate your support and just being on here. She said in Tennessee. I don't know if I want to come to Tennessee, Mel. Anyway, I think Texas is gonna be my home for right now. So send them in a box. UPS them to me in here in Texas, girl. Send them over. But I think God God has a purpose for everything. I
Yeah,
think the reason why I'm in this quarantine, this quarantine happened at the time that God wanted to happen, for me to continue to work on myself until before I get out there to be found.
yeah,
So, because like I said, as soon as I moved here in the end of January, the quarantine happened or the COVID happened in March. So, God has a reason for everything. And I know that once, the man sees me, the man that God has for me sees me. We're gonna both know if he ain't gonna have to tell me, God said you my wife. I prophesy he ain't gotta have to do all of that.
I guarantee you, he probably already around. He probably see you. He just waiting on his moment. I'm telling you, somebody is
Girl,
watching.
you better come through and say these facts around this camp.
I'm just saying. My husband, he was like, "I
He
liked you for
watching
two
you.
years, 2 years before." I'm like, "But you didn't say nothing." So they be
Right.
watching. They be watching.
Right. They be watching, they be lurking in the background. No, but I'm super grateful. I'm super grateful for just, that I'm still God's still working on me. Ladies, let God work on you. Let him work out all of those kinks, all those quirks, all of those things that, yes, we're uniquely us, right? I'm still going to be goofy and silly, and I'm bougie girl to the core. And I wanted to also mention that as well. This platform with the bougie girl, came out of this place of pain through this journey of pain. Because my ex-husband used to call me bougie, you think you, and other people will call me that. And I think they called me that as to demean me, to make me feel bad or to make me feel a certain type of way or to make me think that I, like, oh, you think you better than other people. And I never ever thought I was better than anybody else. My mom told me I walk like a peacock. I would enter a room with my head held high. And I always, even though I was broken on the inside, I wanted people to think that I was okay on the outside. So I always walked in a room with grace and with my head held high, not knowing that I was just crying in the car. So I always appeared to be that way. But this place of bouginess came from a place of brokenness, from a place of pain. But I want women to know, because I struggle with low self esteem and low self worth. I want women to know you're bold. I want you to know that you're one of a kind, because I didn't know I was. I was never bold. I thought, because I'm an introvert, shy,
Oh, you was
ashamed.
bold. You was bold. You moved from your family to California by yourself. So
You
you
know
always
what?
had it in you. You didn't
It
know it at
was
the time.
right. I was always a mover and a shaker. I think it's because we always moved around when I was younger. So I didn't have no fear of moving.
Hmm.
Even though I left all my family, I didn't know anybody in California,
That's
Alaina,
that's
but that
bold.
boyfriend. And even when we broke up, I stayed.
I was gonna
Um,
ask you that too. I'm like, why did you stay instead of going back to your family at
I,
that time?
I didn't want to go back home. I
Yeah,
didn't want to go. I wanted to see if I could make it. I
yeah,
said, I'm out here in California. I'm out here in sunny Cali. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna prove to everybody I got this. A single mom. I'm gonna make it. And I did.
yeah,
I did. I stayed out there for 20 something years without any family besides my in-laws.
yeah.
Thank God for them. I'm grateful for Rochelle and, Nikki and everybody, Carol and Don and everybody who was there for me, all of his family members who were there for me throughout the years. I'm grateful. But I wanted to prove something to myself. But like I said, I wanted people to know you can be unbothered. Don't be bothered by what if other people have to say about you. Because for so many years, I was so concerned about what people thought about me. Do you
Hmm.
like my cooking? Do you like my hair? Do you like what I have on? Do you like what I'm driving? Do you like my home? I was so overwhelmed by what other people thought about me, Alaina, for so many years. And then I had to realize I'm God's girl. He loves me. He
Yeah.
has a plan for me. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the thoughts and the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. He declared that. He said, I know what I have planned for you, Maronda. Don't
Hmm.
worry about it. And I didn't really understand it until afterwards. Because I'm like, God, why are you allowing this shame to come upon me? Why are you allowing me to be embarrassed in front of all these people? Why are you doing this? Like, why are you allowing this to happen? And I didn't understand the bigger picture at the
Yeah.
time. Then I have to be intentional, right? I have to
Hmm.
be intentional about the words that I say, because I will speak in death. I have to
Hmm.
be intentional about my life, the actions, the people that I connect with, and I'm elegant. I've always felt that I was elegant, classy. Um, and no matter what you go through, ladies and gentlemen, you're bougie. You're a class act. You're one of a kind. You're amazing. You're wonderful. And this platform was to remind everybody that you are all of that. What God says you are, who He says you are. You're so amazing. You're all of that. And I wanted everybody to know that. And that was a reason for this platform, to let people know you're bougie, and it's not the bad bougie, it's not the arrogant bougie, it's the bougie that God says you are. Bougie is not in the Bible, but all those words are in the Bible. Bold is in the Bible. One of a kind, being unbothered, God's children, intentional, elegant. Those words are in the Bible. So we're all of that. And I wanted to share something with you all before we end, because I know Elena's like, girl, you just talking. I need to go home.
Yeah, you fine.
I'm messing with you. So I wanted to share this with you all. The release date of my book is March 1st, 2021, From Broken to Bougie. I want you all to pre-order, and I want you guys to look forward to it. It's coming out this year. God has finally given me the permission and the desire and the heart and the boldness to put this out. I've been holding on to it for a couple of years now, and I'm finally believing God. And I'm just like, let me just get out here and tell my story. So the release date to this book is March 1st of this year. So you guys support the vision, support what God is doing, support what God is doing in the lives of His women and men. And I hope you guys support me. This is my first book, and I pray that you guys support me. And I'm also going to be talking about some other things later on. And also, I want to share one more thing with you guys. I went ahead and did some declarations. It's on YouTube. Uh, there are 2021 declarations, and it's about 17 minutes of declarations, about 50 declarations, because again, your words are powerful, right? I had to learn the hard way. But I'm grateful to God that I was taught that lesson, because now there's a video on YouTube, 2021 declarations. And I want everybody that's on here, if you're not following our YouTube, go follow it. Go listen to this. It's 2021. I want you to be encouraged. I want you to be just to know that your words shape your world, and you can have what God says you can have. You can have what you say. And Alaina, if I have, and I have seen it manifest in 2020 with her photography business. We talked about it when we first met, and God is just blessing her tremendously. So if you need some photography done, if you're in the Baltimore area, DFW area, or no, DMV area,
DMV, yeah.
reach out to her. She's amazing. So God is doing some amazing things, but we have to speak what we want to see for our lives, and God is really doing that for us. So support us, you guys. Support the book. Support our businesses, Black women businesses. Support us all. If you're not in the I'm Bougie group, like I said, feel free to post your book, your business, your conference, whatever you have going on, because I'm a woman that I'm going to cheer you on. Go Bougie girl, go, go, go. I'm gonna cheer you on. I got you. So I want everybody to know, thank you, Shanita. Thank you for being here tonight, supporting Mama B, Joyce, Rochelle, all of you guys. Alaina, thank you, honey, again for just being here with me to help me share my story, because it was rough. I didn't think it's. I thought it was, I didn't
Did you
think I was going
expect
to
some
get
of
it.
my questions?
Huh?
Did you expect some of my questions?
Girl, no, you did great. You did amazing. I didn't think I was going to get emotional, but that's a part of it. I mean, I'm grateful. So thank you all tonight for joining. Share this out. If you know anyone who needs to be encouraged going into 2021, share this out. That's
Yeah,
what her story is about, to encourage, to uplift, to be honest. And I think I have been tonight. What do you think?
I think you did good. I think you did
Did
good.
you have any more questions for me?
No, I would ask the question that we asked everybody, but I think you're all of it.
Oh. And if hey, I'm bougie. I'm all
Yeah,
of it. I'm the
you are
BOUGIE and the E, y'all. So what makes me bougie on tonight? All of it.
all of
So
it.
what makes you bougie tonight, Elaine? I'm gonna ask you, since you already know my answer. What makes you bougie on
I'm
tonight?
all of it too.
Amen. Look, snap, snap. That she said she all of it too. Okay.
Mhm. So you got my bougie lashes on today.
Yes, ma'am. She got her bougie T-shirt on. So if y'all want to go get a T-shirt, go get that T-shirt. Yes, baby, bold, one of a kind. Go get it. Go get it. Go get it. Yes. So you guys, thank you so much. Here's our YouTube. Go get the T-shirt on Teespring. So go get some of the bougie apparel. We are grateful. So you all have a blessed weekend. Happy New Year, everybody. We made it. Woo, we made it through
I
2020.
survived 2020. I survived
We
2020.
made it. Yeah. Love y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. Y'all have a great weekend. Rest well. And I will see you next Friday. Well, I'll see you on Monday for Motivational Monday. I'm going to be talking about procrastination, something that I dealt with, struggled
My
with.
favorite thing to do that I don't like to do.
Yay. Procrastinate. No more. Let's not do this no more in 2021. Let's not procrastinate, y'all. But I'm gonna talk about that on Monday. And then on Friday, we have an amazing guest. Simone is coming on her story. God is really blessing us with some amazing people. I'm just super grateful. So love y'all. Love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.
Be encouraged. Be blessed. Like I said, get that. Let me put this up one more time. And let me just put this up. If y'all want to be a blessing, if y'all want to sow into the ministry, into what we're doing, to what's going on, there is the Cash App. People tell me I need to put that up, and I don't feel like I should. But if you want to sow to help this vision grow and to help us to do more things, so buy a book, buy a candle, buy a T-shirt, do all of that. And, also support Alaina Mashan Photography. Go and follow her on social media. Go get some pictures taken. When she comes to Texas, we are going to make sure
Oh
we
no.
post her because y'all need to come get some photos because I'm gonna be one of the first people. So I'm gonna be first. So y'all need to wait on y'all appointments. So love you, girl. Thank you,
Love you.
guys. Y'all have a great night. Happy New Year.